Welcome to 365 Math. In this video, I'm going to be simplifying ratios that are a bit difficult to simplify. And I'm talking about ratios in the form of decimals, ratios with mixed units, and lastly, I'm going to talk about putting ratios in the form of either 1:n or n:1. So starting off with decimals, we can be given a ratio of 1.5:4.5. For us to simplify this ratio, since it is a decimal, the first thing that we'll do is to get rid of the decimal. And what we're going to do is to look at the numbers that we have after the decimal. In this case, we have 1, and in this case, we also have 1, meaning that we are going to multiply both sides by 10 to get rid of the decimal. And by so doing, we have 1.5 times 10 will be 15. 4.5 times 10 will give us 45. And now that we have whole numbers 15 and 45, we can then go ahead and look for the highest common factor of 15 and 45, and our highest common factor is 15. So we're going to divide both sides by 15. 15 divided by 15 is equal to 1, and we have is 2. And then 45 divided by 15 is 3. Now we have a ratio of 1:3, and we cannot further simplify this. Hence, this is the simplified solution. We can look at a second example whereby we have 3 ratios of 0.6 is to 0.2 is to 0.4. And first things first is to change from a decimal to a whole number. And looking at the numbers that we have after the decimal, we have 1 in this case, we have 1, and we also have 1, meaning that we are going to multiply all the 3 by 10 to get rid of the decimals. And by so doing, we end up with 0.6 times 10, which is 6, is 2, 0.2 times 10, which is 2, and also we have 0.4 times 10, which is equal to 4. Then we go ahead and look for the highest common factor of 6, 2, and 4, and our highest common factor is 2. So we're going to divide all 3 by 2, and we have 6 divided by 2, that is 3, and then we have 2 divided by 2, that is 1, and lastly we have 4 divided by 2, and we get 2. So this is our final ratio, 3:1:2. And lastly, the third example, whereby we're going to have a decimal with at least 2 digits after the decimal place, and that is 3.5:4.25. So the first step is to get rid of the decimals. The first step is always to get rid of the decimals. So we're going to look at the number of digits that we have after the decimal point. And in this case, we only have 1, and we have 1, 2. Hence, we're going to multiply both by 100 to get rid of the decimals. And by so doing, we have 3.5 times 100, which gives us 350. And then we have 4.25 times 100, which gives us 425. Now we have 2 huge numbers, 350 and 425. And we are going to look for the highest common factor of 350 and 425. And in this case, our highest common factor is 25. Hence, we're going to divide both by 25. 350 divided by 25 gives us 14, and then 425 divided by 25 gives us 17. And we cannot further simplify this because we have 17, which is a prime number. Hence, our final answer is a ratio of 14:17. And then the second set that we're going to look at is we're going to look at ratios with mixed units. For example, we have got 14 meters is to 20 centimeters. And we want to simplify this. We have meters and we have centimeters. We cannot simply find the highest common factor of these because they are different. So what we're going to do first is to convert one to the other unit. Since we have got meters and centimeters, it is always easier to change from a larger unit to a smaller unit. By so doing, we will not have decimal places. We have got a meter and a centimeter, and we know that 100 centimeters is equal to 1 meter. Hence, we're going to change this 14 meters to centimeters, and we're going to multiply 14 by 100 to change it to a centimeter. And multiplying, we get 1,400 centimeters is to 20 centimeters. So we can get rid of the units right now. And now we are going to look for the highest common factor of 1,420, and in this case the highest common factor is 20. Hence we're going to divide both by 20. We say 1,400 divided by 20 and we get 70 is to 20 divided by 20, we get 1, and this is our final answer. 70 is to 1. I'll look at another example whereby we have different units, and we have 600 grams is to 1.5 kgs. Again, we've got grams and we've got kgs. So it is very important for you to know how to convert units. So now what we want to do is to convert kgs into grams, and we know that 1,000 grams is equal to 1 kg. Hence, we're going to multiply 1,500 by 1,000 to convert the kgs back into grams. And once we do that, we are left with 600 grams is to 1,500 grams. And again, we can get rid of the units because they are now the same. Then we look for the highest common factor of 600 and 1,500. And our highest common factor is equal to 300. Hence, we're going to divide both by 300. 600 divided by 300 will give us 2. 1,500 divided by 300 will give us 5. And now that we have 2 is to 5, we cannot further simplify this. So this leaves 2 is to 5 as our final answer. Now, looking at a third example, we have 2 hours is to 40 minutes. And again, we need to know how to convert units. We've got hours and minutes. And remember what I said, it is easier to convert from a larger unit to a smaller unit. So we are going to change hours into minutes. And we know that 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. Hence, we're going to change 2 hours into minutes by multiplying 2 by 60. And we get 120 minutes is to 40 minutes. Now we get rid of the units because they are the same. 120 is to 40. We then look for the highest common factor, which is 40 in this case. So we're going to divide both by 40. 120 divided by 40 gives us 3. Then we have 40 divided by 40 and we get 1. We have simplified this ratio. Hence, our final answer is 3 is to 1. So remember, it is very important for you to know how to convert units. And lastly, we are going to look at how to write a ratio in the form of n is to 1, or you can be asked to write it in the form of 1 is to n. So example number 1, write 10 is to 4 in the form n is to 1. So what this simply means, if you see a question like this, it means that it wants you to have on the right hand side, I'll call this the right side and I'll call this the left side. It wants you to have a 1 on the right hand side. So we're given the ratio of 10 is to 4, and we want to put it in the form of n is to 1. That means we have to have a 1 on this side where we have a 4, and to do that we are going to divide by 4. And when we divide on both sides. We don't divide on one side. So we are going to divide both sides by 4 so that we remain with a 1 on the right hand side. By so doing, we now have 10 divided by 4 and we have 4 divided by 4. So 10 divided by 4 gives us 2.5 and 4 divided by 4 gives us 1. Already, if you look at this, we now have n is to 1. This is the form that we were asked to put our answer in. Hence, that is how you change the given ratio into the required form. Example number 2, we are asked to write 0.5 is to 1 in the form of 1 is to n. We have the ratio 0.5 is to 1 and we want to put it in the form of 1 is to n. This is the left side and this is the right side. So this is left and this is right. We want to change this 0.5 into a 1. So we're going to look at how we can change 0.5 into a 1. In simpler ways, you can just say 1 divided by 0.5, and then you get your answer, which would be equal to 2. And once you do get the answer, that means you're going to multiply both the left and the right by 2. Hence, we have 0.5 times 2, that is 1. And then on the right side, we have 1 times 2, and we get 2, giving us our final answer as 1 is to 2. If you look at this, we have put our answer in the form 1 is to n. So whenever you see changing a ratio into 1 is to n or n is to 1, you just have to make sure that whatever side you have a 1, you have to remain with the 1. So you can either multiply or you will divide to get 1 as your answer. So there you have it, guys. This is how you simplify ratios into their simplest form, or you can put them in the form of n is to 1 or 1 is to n. I hope you learned something. Thank you for watching. Please hit the subscribe button for more videos. See you in the next one.